Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and I'm wearing an eye patch. I know. I'm actually going to use this though as a good educational opportunity to talk about how things can manifest with the astrology. So we had that Gemini full moon about 2 weeks ago. For me personally, Gemini rules my sixth whole sign house. The sixth house can represent injury and illness. So after that full moon, I had a lot going on health wise. Mercury rules over Gemini. Mercury also happens to be my Time Lord this year with regards to annual perfections. So with Mercury making a square to Neptune during that full moon, and then also an aspect to Mars, it's interesting how things manifested for me personally, things that were confusing. I didn't know what was going on. And then when Mars came into the picture this week, an infection came up. So, not fun on a human level, but very fascinating as the mad scientist astrologer that I am. So, it's also important to note that when we have a full moon, when the moon is losing light or working itself towards a new moon, which we're going to have this week, that you can reflect on that 2 week period to see what is coming up for you. Because after the full moon, then it's like a releasing of energy, a release of emotion that is coming through. So if you want to retroactively look at where Gemini falls in your natal chart to see what has come up for you over the past 2 weeks, it can also help you use lunations, new moons, and full moons to your advantage moving forward. All right. Now, with regards to announcements, we still have our Sagittarius season giveaway. If you donate $50 of your local currency to any charity, then you are entered in to win one of three prizes: two 30-minute tarot readings and a 60-minute reading of your choice, whether that be tarot, astrology, or coaching. If you donate to a charity, you can send a screenshot of the receipt to me at stillwateralchemy@gmail.com or through Stillwater Alchemy's Instagram. And be sure to also include your full name and your email. So if you are chosen, I know who to contact to let you know that you've won. That giveaway is going until the end of Sagittarius season. All right. Now, also another announcement. This one's on a more of a serious note, or just more of a Scorpio and Venus note, per se. Sometimes I get offhand comments or like unsolicited personal questions about my personal life or what I'm doing. And I find them a little bit disrespectful, a little bit creepy, not appropriate. I've also told my entire team over the DMs as well, if people are trauma dumping or also saying or asking inappropriate things, that my team not respond to these. I'm also not going to respond to them. I just don't think it's appropriate at all. So I'm just going to flag it as spam or mark it as inappropriate because I don't think that we should be unsolicitedly trying to connect with others in that way. I think this is also going to be a bigger topic in terms of cybersecurity and social decorum online when Pluto moves into Aquarius. So for those of you who do a lot of business online or are content creators, just being mindful of the boundaries that you set and the type of energy you want to facilitate. I will say 99.9% of you were amazing, send lovely comments. I'm so grateful. Trust me, I am. But I do want to set that precedent moving forward, just as a reminder, especially as Mercury is about to go retrograde, that we can be mindful of the words that we speak. There's also a human being on the other side of that phone, of that account, whoever you're connecting with. So just be mindful when you press send, when you are typing something, especially during this Mercury retrograde. Maybe sit on it, maybe process what you want to say first before you send that text, that email, that DM. All right. Now, moving on to the greatest victory of the week. This comes from Jasmine Gonlin. Hey, Jasmine. So we have this week's greatest victory for me was leaning into the generosity and abundance of Sagittarius season. I'm American. My father and I haven't had the strongest relationship in 2020. And after I moved to California last year, we pretty much stopped speaking. He's turning a milestone 70 on December 5th. And instead of not sending a gift like I did last year, I decided to expand my heart a bit. I work at a job that earns tips, and my clients were especially generous this weekend. Boom. I extended that generosity to my dad by sending him a bottle of bubbly, some snacks, and a money tree from his local florist. The exact same day the money tree arrived, he also got a fat check in the mail that he'd been waiting on for months. Of course, relationships don't heal overnight, but it was a nice reminder that when we pour into others, it can create beautiful ripple effects of abundance around us. And I think that's a wonderful reminder that when we give from the heart generously, it always comes back to us. One of my favorite mantras, mindsets, is whenever we spend or invest, it always comes back to us tenfold in some way, shape, or form. It might not be physical money, it could be a sale, it could be a client, it could be something else, but that energy is always going to come back, right? It's energetic law. And this is a cute tie-in. This can be my greatest victory as well, because it also lends into generosity. So when I was in Palm Springs, there was a little boy selling chocolate for soccer uniforms for a sports team. And he was asking if I could buy chocolate. I was like, oh, I don't eat dairy. He's like, oh, do you have cash? Donate. I'm like, I don't have cash. And he's like, oh, I also take card. He had a Square plug in on his phone. This kid was probably 9, 10 years old. And I said, oh, that's very entrepreneurial. So my Capricorn rising was impressed. So I just donated $5 and kept going. And I thought, that is really cute because that was me when I was younger, selling like magazines or doing fundraisers when I was in junior high. So I appreciate that. And I also know it's like, no matter who you give to, whether it's a gratuity to a server, a fundraiser, a charity, it's always going to come back to you every single time, especially when you do it generously from the heart. And the very next day, the client booked in for an hour reading, which more generosity coming back to me through the form of a sale. So this is just a beautiful reminder that if you have been blessed during this Sagittarius season or throughout your life, that energy will and will always come back to you in miraculous, beautiful, expansive, abundant ways. So with that being said, let's hop into the week ahead, shall we? So this is one of those weeks where we're just following the moon because Mercury will station retrograde on Wednesday, but no other planet aside from the moon changes signs. So on Monday, we can see that the moon is in Sagittarius, making that square to Saturn. So you might be feeling a little bit fatigued or overwhelmed, or there could be this pressure where you really want to get things together. However, with the moon being in its dark moon phase, you may just feel like you want to take it easy. That might be the moon in Sagittarius, a fire sign. It's like go, 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 go. But then that square to Saturn is like, let's just pump the brakes. Maybe you're feeling something that needs to be addressed. It's not about the masculine per se, it's more about tapping into the lunar elements in your life. And you can look at the house in your chart ruled by Sagittarius, because that's going to show you one, where this new moon energy is going to be activated, but secondly, maybe what needs to be wrapped up or what you need to get off your chest with this Mars energy where you're feeling frustrated or maybe even excited, right? There might be a lack of patience or you want to go, go, go. There might be a hint of what's to come, but there's likely something that needs to be wrapped up. Or you might want to seek out expertise or boundaries or something needs to shift because the moon is an aspect of both Mars and Saturn. So it could feel like hurry up and wait, or you want to go, 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 but you're waiting on something before that can show up. And that's also compounded with Mercury just about to station retrograde. So if you're in a hurry, you want things to go, take time for you. Things are going to pick up. But if you're feeling like you've been delaying something or something needs to happen before the rest of the week can flow through, this is the call to action. This is getting that done. And this also is a very readily deep invitation to rest because that is what the dark moon phase is for. And also, too, I'm curious with that Moon Mars conjunction, especially in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules the legs. So if you're wanting to like go for a walk or a run or just like do some cardio to blow off some steam or use heat as a way to help your emotions, whether that be like a hot bath, a sauna, a steam room, red light therapy, something that you can do to help you relax because there is something that's going to be calling you to slow down or help you to best use your time and discipline to then act moving forward. All right. Now, Tuesday is when we're going to have that Sagittarius new moon. So this is also something as well with the moon in aspect still to Mars and that square to Neptune. We're used to this square to Neptune because if you remember during that Gemini full moon, we also had that aspect to Neptune. So this can sometimes dissolve boundaries, which is why I think that Monday, remember I was saying maybe boundaries or discipline are needed. And perhaps on Tuesday, that's going to be questions. This can kind of be like throwing caution to the wind. This could be like things aren't working. It's never going to work before the new moon happens, right? This could also be maybe you getting very frustrated or irritated based on the energy that you're taking on from people around you, social media, overall your environment, wherever that is. So that might also be a cue for you to tap into. It's like, where are you frustrated? Why are you frustrated? And where are you being called to act? Because these questions are going to help you move through this transit with Mars and Neptune hitting this new moon energy. So just stay grounded. If you can, refrain from taking on extraneous energy if you're already feeling depleted, exhausted, or irritated. And this can also be a good time as well if you're needing spiritual support to lean into your own spiritual tool bag, seeking help from a healer or someone that you can go to that can help you make sense of things. This also kind of gives me a Ganesh or a Kali energy where you're cutting through the illusion. You are making sense of what stories, what beliefs are running in my subconscious, and what is the new story? What is the new driving force that is going to propel me forward? That's something as well that I would want you to sit with if you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed or like you feel like things aren't working. What are the stories and the beliefs that you're constantly telling yourself? And are those real or are they not? And paying attention to your dreams at this point, Monday and Tuesday would be wise, given that the moon is in strong aspect to Neptune. Okay. Now, Wednesday. Wednesday, we have Mercury stationing retrograde. Remember, we do not fear retrogrades. I actually have a really funny Mercury retrograde story. So, with this eye infection and as everything is healing this weekend, I was just ordering Uber Eats and there was an Uber delivery that came through, and I live in a condo, and they left it not even like anywhere near the entrance. It was outside, like near the fire hose attachment. So I like went downstairs, picked up the delivery. It wasn't even my delivery. I ordered like chicken fried rice essentially. And what came through was a Subway. So it was like not anywhere where it's supposed to be. They didn't follow the instructions and it was the wrong delivery. However, I just reported this to Uber and I'm like, hey, this was not the order that I had. Uber refunded me the full amount and the Subway, like I just like picked around. It was like, there's some things I could eat. There was a cute bag of all dressed chips. And I was like, okay, at least we got some kind of nourishment. It's not a big deal. We'll try again later. So I find it interesting as well. Like I said, Mercury rules my sixth whole sign house, like physical health, what contributes to physical health, food. I know that food is more people link that with the second house, but I think obviously food and nutrition has a strong correlation with our health. So I always find that with Mercury retrograde, of course, Uber Eats is an app technology. It also uses delivery, which can be in Mercury's domain. So one thing I want you to pay attention to with Mercury retrogrades is, of course, you're going to be looking at the houses ruled by Capricorn and Sagittarius because Mercury is going to retrograde back into Sag during this retrograde cycle. So knowing which houses are ruled by Capricorn and Sagittarius are where these retrograde themes of Mercury are going to be into effect. So communication, correspondence, business, technology, these are things that you can look out for in addition to the houses in your chart ruled by Virgo and Gemini, because Virgo and Gemini are both ruled by Mercury. I know that might be more of an intermediate topic, but if you want to really finesse and detail where Mercury retrograde is going to happen for you, then these are the parts of your chart that are going to be most impacted. And always for Virgo risings and Gemini risings, whenever we have a Mercury retrograde, you might feel either a little bit off or like you have less energy. And that is always something to note. And it might not even be you, it might be other people that are maybe frustrating or are lacking communication, which is causing you to be frustrated, of course, because Gemini and Virgo risings would have strong mercurial sensibility. And I will say, if you are a Capricorn rising or a Sagittarius rising, this Mercury retrograde is going to be very important for you because there are those elements of Mercury rejoicing in the first house. It's how you speak, it's how you express yourself. So you might find that if you're a Capricorn or Sagittarius rising, that you might be finding your voice, or you're wanting to study something new, or you're wanting to move in a different type of career path or business or opportunity. So pay attention. Remember, retrogrades get to work in your favor. There are things that are coming through your field of scope that need to be reevaluated. And this retrograde is going to last until December 31st. It's relatively quick. It doesn't even last for a full 3 weeks. And of course, I'm sure many of you have already been feeling the effects of the pre-retrograde shadows. So this is just another opportunity for all of us to get to reframe what Mercury retrograde means and how we can use it in our day-to-day. Now, if we're looking at the moon now in Capricorn, we're getting that sextile to Venus and a sextile to Saturn. So this might be where you're more grounded, pragmatic, where you can see things now that we've had this Sagittarius new moon. And also, let's not forget that the moon is making a trine to Jupiter. So even though Mercury stationed retrograde today, there might be a lot of opportunity where it might be one of those Mercury retrogrades where you might even feel more clear-headed. There might be a solution. It might not be something that you want to hear necessarily. You know, sometimes when you get those intuitive downloads, it makes you scared. It makes you anxious. You're like, what if this doesn't work? I'm really being called to do this. All of that. But it does seem, especially with the moon in strong aspect to both benefic planets, Jupiter and Venus, that there's something that is going to ground you, or that there's going to be something that, even if it's faint or a whisper, pay attention to what is coming through and where you're being asked to pivot, or even go back to either have a conversation or finish something up that's going to allow you to expand moving forward. All right. Because that's one of the blessings of a Mercury retrograde, is getting to go back and doing something over again to have a better result. It's like those television shows where the main character repeats the same day over and over again. And each time they repeat the day, they get to find out more about the day or find out more about themselves to get their desired output. That's kind of one of the ways I help to explain a Mercury retrograde, is that it's not meant to cause you frustration or delays. It's meant to help you understand something better and better, so that when you leave that retrograde, that time was used in your favor. And for some, like I said at the start of this week, it's just to slow down and to rest. I've been hearing that from a lot of clients, is that they're just tired, fatigued, exhausted, and even exhausted from anxiety or exhausted from overthinking things. So remember that with Mercury's connection to the mind, this could be just a nice opportunity to slow down, that we're not going to elicit burnout, that we are going to enjoy this Mercury retrograde and see the blessings that it has to offer. Now, Thursday, we have the moon making that applied sextile to Neptune, which is quite nice. And we also see the sun now within a strong square to Neptune as well. So having both luminaries in aspect to Neptune on Thursday, of course, increased intuition, of course, being mindful of the energy and substances that were around. This is that time of year where it's holiday parties, people getting together. So trust your intuition. Like, if you're needing time to rest, if you want to go back and finish certain pending projects and you don't want to be around certain people, be mindful of that. You know what you need to do, and trusting your body. There's also the moon making a trine to Uranus. So it's okay if you change your mind. It's okay if you have different priorities. It's okay if that Sagittarius new moon on Tuesday elicited different downloads and different things that you want to partake in moving forward. But I don't want you to get caught up in certain activities, certain people, certain relationships, just because there's a lot of change in the air this week. So being mindful of the energy that you're plugging yourself into to ensure that it's aligned. And also, too, I sometimes find with the sun, Neptune, either square or opposition, the sun can represent leader or authority or popular or higher echelon people, right? Like these prominent lights in our life. And they can also represent parents as well. So if there's something that you're not feeling intuitively, if you don't want to connect with certain people, pay attention to that, because this solar energy is going to affect you as a whole. And this can also be used to your advantage, where if there are certain dreams and creativity and musings and inspiration that you're wanting, maybe it's an opportunity for you to look to different sources, to tap into different people's stories and their histories and their social media, whatever that is for you. This could be a time as well where maybe there was a dream or a creative project that you put on hold that now you're going to go back to Mercury retrograde to finish or to discover more about yourself. Part of me is also thinking like if there is a storybook from your childhood, and this is just intuitive, but I feel like it's linked to this. Like if there's a childhood story or a video game, a board game, something like that from your youth that really inspired you or that really motivated you to dream big or to go for it, that this can also be a time where you go into that, to not lose sight of your dreams, to not get discouraged because other solar people are accomplishing things. It's like there's enough for everyone. What is meant for you is always meant for you. You cannot miss out on it. But getting a little bit more inspiration and motivation to help ground you and give you extra fuel, that is a very prominent energy on Thursday, and not allowing yourself to engage in relationships, obligations, or people that are not in alignment. All right. Friday. Friday, we have that Moon Pluto conjunction, and the Moon, of course, will be moving into Aquarius later on today. So, with this, there could be a lot of profound breakthroughs, a lot of truth, a lot of revelation. And of course, we're still in this energy with the moon being co-present with Mercury retrograde. So really, really, truly, if you can take time for solitude on Thursday and Friday, that would be wise. Things are going to be coming through. And remember that Pluto is finishing off its transit in Capricorn. It's going to be there in a few months in 2024 when it retrogrades back, but we are closing out a 15-year cycle. There's likely things that are coming through that are major milestones for you, or that are going to give you either foresight or a knowing of what's coming next for you individually in your journey, and maybe you and your family, you and your relationships, you and your business, whatever that is. So this is a time as well, especially again, we still are in that square with the sun and Neptune, where your intuition is probably going to be firing very strongly. And there's going to be new parts of you that are emerging. So please listen to these downloads so that it's easier and easier for you to trust these things when they are coming through more prominently later on. This is a really good, it's kind of like the squirrel scurrying away acorns. And you might be in that stage of, okay, I'm just going to get everything in line so that I'm ready for 2024. Or you're going to be maybe utilizing what you've already scurried away from maybe the summer or the fall, and you're going to be utilizing these resources to best prepare for the next expansion. All right. And even all this energy too, because as the moon has been in Capricorn this week, making really strong aspects to Jupiter and Uranus, make sure you look at this Capricorn ruled house of your chart, especially with Mercury retrograde there. There's going to be a lot of profound shifts and change happening in that part of your life, and in aspect nicely to the Taurus and the Pisces ruled part of your chart, to see where maybe a lot of these shifts or changes or expansion is coming through. Now, for the weekend, Saturday, we see that the moon is in Aquarius, making that square to Venus in square base aspect to Jupiter and Uranus. So even more change, right? It just seems like this week there's change in different facets of ourselves. We now have the moon in an air sign, which is nice because currently there are no other planets in air signs. So this can be a time where you are expressing yourself. Maybe you are coming to a conversation, a deep conversation with a either feminine or maternal energy in your life, given that we have the moon square Venus. Venus is in Scorpio, right? So this is not a time to sit on your emotions or to harbor things. Now that we have the moon in an air sign, it's time to have these conversations. Even if you're not physically having a conversation with said person, maybe writing it down, maybe talking to a close friend or a confidant of where maybe this frustration is. This can also be in relation to you and what you deem to be beautiful, or what you are desiring, maybe in a relationship or a career or an opportunity, where you're able to The phrase that's coming to my head is like going toe to toe with it. It might also feel like you're going toe to toe with yourself as well with a dream. Now we can see this exact square between the sun and Neptune. So it might be something like a dream, what you're really passionate about, a relationship, whatever this is, you need to be able to voice it. What keeps coming through is don't sit on your words. So even if it's just to yourself in your home, speak this energy out, write it down as well. We want to be able to use air magic through our words, not just typing into our phone or scrolling on social media. We want to actually utilize this so we can feel so much better because there is the moon making that square to Uranus. So if we sit on this and it bubbles up, it could negatively affect us or help our emotions. Don't sit on your words, speak on how you feel. That's going to be very, very key on Saturday. And you can also see the moon making this sextile to Mars. So I do believe if you're able to channel that passion, anger, frustration, whatever is coming through, it's going to deepen the relationship. There's something that is going to be unlocked here that is likely to help you feel a lot better anyway. And it's no surprise that just the day before the moon was conjunct Pluto, there's probably some truth or revelation or breakthrough that's happening, which is going to cause you to feel a certain type of way with either yourself or a feminine energy or person in your life. So have that conversation or at least have it with yourself so that you can get these words out of your body to make it easier when we get to Sunday. Sunday, the moon is going to be finishing off its transit in Aquarius and then conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So it's a good day to rest. It's a good day to relax, especially with the moon being so close to Saturn. It can also be maybe you're taking a break from a certain person or your job, or you're just taking time to decompress and come back to yourself. It's the perfect self-care day. It's the perfect day just to relax. All right. Beautiful. Now, for the astrology question of the week, this comes from Heather Gilmore 163. Hey, Heather. Would love your thoughts on how personalities mix that have same signs with different placements, meaning someone with an Aries Sun and someone with an Aries Moon. So, with this, if we're talking about synastry in astrology, if you're looking at your sun, rising, and moon, anyone that possesses placements within that, there's going to be some type of synastry. So, if we're talking about someone's moon sign, so let's say you're a Taurus moon, if you meet someone who is a Taurus sun, Taurus rising, Taurus moon, Taurus Venus, you are likely to have a strong connection with them because they're able to see or recognize your emotions or what you need to feel emotionally safe. Generally speaking, we're just going with that. Of course, there could be different aspects in the other person's chart that can make it not as easy to connect emotionally. But if we're just talking synastry 101, moon sign of individual A connecting with sun, rising, moon, Venus of person B is going to be very, very strong. We've talked about this before, but it's a nice recap. Now, if we're going a little bit more intermediate with this knowledge, you can look at your natal chart and look at each house to see where that individual is likely to come forth. So let's say that you are a Aquarius rising. If you're an Aquarius rising, that means that Taurus rules your fourth whole sign house. So if you're an Aquarius rising with a Taurus moon, that means that people with Taurus energy are going to really feel like family, or they're going to be someone that maybe you want to share private, intimate parts of yourself, or that get along with other members of your family, or they might even be a realtor, someone that sells you a home, or someone that's going to connect you with other land-based opportunities. Because now we're not just looking at general synastry, we're looking at where individually they fall in the natal chart. And also, just to give some other fun synastry examples, if you're looking at your eighth whole sign house, the sign that rules your eighth house, that sign and people that possess that sun, rising, moon, or other prominent planets could be really good for healing. The eighth house also represents surgery. So I remember when I was getting a procedure one time, I ask every doctor, everyone basically, what their zodiac sign is. And the doctor said, "Oh, I'm a Leo. Leo rules my eighth house." I'm like, "Great. Anyone that has strong eighth house energy and is doing surgery on me, that is going to be really strong synastry." If you're looking at the ruling sign of your ninth whole sign house, that can represent higher knowledge, higher education. So people that possess that zodiac sign or just the energy of that house. So let's say that Gemini rules your ninth whole sign house. If people possess Gemini placements or are very curious, funny, gregarious, can cover lots of different material and give you that different inspiration and insight to go study it further, then perhaps you are going to resonate more strongly with people that either possess that Gemini energy or have Gemini placements when they're helping you learn different things, right? So that's just a little bit more about synastry and how you can use it on an individual level. And then also when looking at the natal chart, just your own to see, oh yeah, okay. Like it can even be people in your 10th whole sign house. Those can be people that maybe have influence over you or that you find really inspirational, or those kind of celebrities that you really like that either possess that zodiac sign or have that characteristic of that zodiac sign, right? So that is what I'll say about that. And a lot of people have been asking if I'm going to be creating astrology courses or different things to learn about the signs, the planets, the aspects, the houses. The answer is yes. That is coming in 2024. Trust me, it's on the docket. I've been doing a lot of preparation for next year. Once this eye heals, we will be in tip-top shape to get all the different content and courses and things ready to help you learn even more about astrology on your end in a more conducive form. All right. So that is our week ahead. Please let me know how it resonates. And also feel free to share your greatest victories from the week, any astrology questions that you have. And please take it easy this week. There's a lots of change, but there's also, as we saw, a lot of opportunities to rest, to decompress, to integrate the energy. Some of you might have already been doing this, which is great. For others, please trust the process, embrace the retrograde, and know that everything is already working out in your highest favor. All right. With that being said, I'm wishing you all a fabulous week ahead, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.